Man, my 2017 season was rocky. Okay, this is gonna be a little bit of a long one. So have you watched the
Y'all
2017?
go in. I'm scrapping all the 17 questions. Go ahead.
I don't like to talk about it too much because it was, kind of sucky. But so 2017,
go in.
you've seen the show, yeah.
Yes.
It is the show
It
about
is.
the yard lines change, the field gets messed up. The whole point of like how drum corps changes. We start from the little fugue in G minor, which is very stock old school drum corps. Play a
Right.
classical music piece on the field, make it really cool.
Yeah.
Into a more modern drum corps, playing some fanfares, doing some choreo, mostly marching. Into the
Right.
ballad, almost all choreography, almost all musical, artistic, floaty
Yeah.
dance work, not a whole lot of more modern of the drum corps side of things for today's standards. And then the closer was just old run and gun drum corps drill along with choreography. So it was like
Prime
a
Carolina
back and forth of now you're marching 208 beats per minute. Now you're dancing, doing crazy modern pop stuff. So just the flow of it all was like the idea of the show was like how a drum corps itself is changing and what it means to be drum corps in today in the 2017 era. It is, and they didn't. I don't know how they came up with that name, but they just kind of. It is what it is type thing.
It's the name.
It's the name.
It is.
And when they announced it, I was like, okay, weird.
It is
weird. Yeah, it is coming from Inferno and Relentless and Out of This World.
Out of This World.
Yeah, it is. ...
It is.
The official name of the show was It Is ...
You're like, what?
Yeah. So going into the season, vibes are different. Everything feels a little different. Color guard team is like entirely different. Brass is mostly the same education wise, different membership. And I love the 2016 horn line, but the 2017 horn line was so tight and such a family atmosphere. And like I knew everyone's name in that horn line and I felt really connected. Part of it being a second year member versus a rookie helps.
Yeah.
And having a younger group where you're the vet and, that kind of vibe is different. So love the 2017 horn line. Love those people. I love the 2016 show more than the 2017 show. So I remember 2016 more fondly because I liked the show more. Yeah. But I like the people of 2017 just a little more. I have it's my age out season. It's my people.
Yeah, so absolutely.
We're going into spring training with this show, sometimes called the ITIS. You got the ITIS instead of It Is.
ITIS.
Going into spring training, doing the things. And, I'm in age out. My body hurts. I'm going to see the trainer every day because my feet are killing me because, the usual age out, body broken type. So we
especially as a tuba player too, like injuries are bound to happen carrying that heavy of an instrument.
I've been pretty lucky to be injury free most of my drum corps career.
There you go.
You can kind of see where this is leading now. So we get to learn the closer. The closer is Andy Akiho's No One to No One.
Oh yeah, I played that in 2016.
Yep. Yeah. Full circle moment. Look at that. And just keeps going back. So that's our closer, and it's fast. It's 208, and we play it at the 208 tempo. And from the time that the closer starts, we're just booking, running, gunning. And the tubas are in this giant arc to end the ballad. And we start in this arc, and it takes the arc, and we jazz run forward into the arc, pulls it back. And then we take the arc, and we go straight backwards in a line up the yard, like splitting the yard line. Oh. And so we're learning it. And Viz block in the morning, down tempo, like 140, 160, somewhere in that range, fast, but not ridiculously.
Get it under your feet.
Get it under your feet, learn the dots, learn the pathways, do that stuff. Learned it that morning. I think we learned like the first 15 sets of it or something. We get all the way up to that part with the bass drum where they make the triangle, you know. Mm-hmm. So we get up to about there. We stop there. We get to brass that afternoon. We're playing it on the move, down tempo, super slow, doing little chunks. Like, all right, tubas are playing this just crazy ostinato the whole time. It's in 5/4, so the moves are super weird. The drill moves are crazy. Sometimes you're doing a 5 count move, sometimes you're doing a 10 count move, sometimes it's a right foot. Madness, and then you throw into that props.
Yeah.
So we did it in brass, down tempo, no props. Horns playing down tempo. we get to ensemble that night, and they're like, okay, set up the top of the closer with props. We're like, okay. So we're the whole drum corps, putting the color guard and the percussion all together, trying to work through it together with the props, try to get all the everything sorted out. And that move I was talking about earlier with the tubas, like jazz running forward and like hauling ass backwards, we're booking it. And there's one of the yard line props that's on the yard line, but it's spun horizontally to where the edge was going to splitting. So it's kind of,
oh my God.
And so it turned out that the move had us crossing over that prop and having to haul backwards, basically almost jazz running backwards, giant step size, fast tempo. And they're having us play these chunks at tempo with props for the first time.
After you just learned it in the morning?
After we just learned it that morning.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. We're like, all right, we're going. It was kind of a hype, but then we're like,
oh no.
One person goes down and we're like, another person goes down. Right. A couple people start to fall and start to trip, and we're all like,
something's very wrong.
Uh-oh. And we get to that move where we're backing up, and I'm in like the middle of the line, and I'm like the second or third person to cross over the prop. And so I'm booking it backwards. We're repping the crap out of the chunk because it was a really hard move. You know how you do.
Yeah.
We're repping it. I dodged it multiple times, and then one rep, booking it backwards, thought I knew my crossing count. My foot catches on the prop, slips, step on it, pushes backwards. I fall backwards, roll back, slam my head on the turf, roll out of the set. Luckily, get up, hop back in the drill. I'm like marching, and they check, adjust, put the tuba down. I'm like, Andrew,
you okay?
You good back there?
You okay?
I'm like, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm good. Like, all right, reset, do it again. And I don't remember much beyond this, if that says anything. But I do remember being told afterward that I was reset and I'd done a couple more reps, and I was kind of standing there whenever we were at standby, and I was just kind of,
whoa.
And they're like, Andrew, how you feeling, man? Like the tuba section was like, are you doing all right? I was like, what do you mean? You fell earlier. I was like, what?
You hit your head pretty hard.
I was like, did I? And they're like, go, get off.
Get out.
So I go to see the trainer, and have you done a concussion test before?
No.
So they do the thing where they take their finger, and they're like, all right, follow my finger.
Right.
And here's me. I'm like, and the goal is to not move your head, just to follow with your eyes, right? Just have your finger follow your eyes. And my ass went,
hey.
Why is there two fingers?
Oh,
yeah.
Boy.
And so I was immediately put on concussion protocol, taken back to the dorm, and started doing some concussion stuff. They took me to a doctor, got diagnosed with a very serious concussion, and I think I was out for the rest of spring training. And I remember just sleeping nonstop.
Well, I was gonna say, what do you do for that when you're?
They had me in my dorm, just trying to stay out of the light, stay out of loud places, because almost everywhere on campus is bright light and loud places, which is terrible for a concussion. So I was just in my dorm room, and I just slept so much. Like I would just sleep for hours and hours and hours. And I don't think you're technically supposed to sleep if you have a.
I was gonna say, I don't think you're supposed to sleep on a concussion.
I did,
but I was just like, hey,
I slept a lot, and I don't.
What else are you gonna do? Where can you go?
Yeah, I can't. I spent a lot of time with trainers, and it was awful. And I just remember being like, oh my God, this is like the worst. And I had previously mostly dodged injuries my entire time marching so far. Like the worst thing that ever happened to me was I had like rolled my ankle one year at Colts and had to sit out for a few reps in an ensemble.
And you're like, I'm back in, it's fine.
Put ice on it. But no, this was like big deal. And throughout the season, other people had fallen and gotten concussions as well. Like I think within the 16-person tuba section, like 4 or 5 people fell and got concussions at some point. Yeah, it was crazy. And shout out to the med team for taking care of all of us tubas. But
shout out to med teams and
shout out to med teams in general. Oh my gosh,
for what you do,
the heroes of the drum corps world. You do not get enough pay. You do not get enough respect. Love y'all
for the things
my
that
med
you guys
team
had
at
to
Crown
experience.
Were amazing. They took care of me so well. But it definitely was a big, big nightmare. And the story gets better too. So we're wrapping up spring training. I'm still heavily under concussion protocol. We leave Gardner Webb. We pack up spring training. And that was still at the time where they were doing the tour premiere in the Dome at Indy.
At Lucas Oil.
Lucas Oil, yeah. So I unfortunately had to miss that show, or I thought I was going to have to be in that show. I was like, I'm going to be good enough to go back. So we're on our way up from South Carolina up to Indy. We stopped in Kentucky. And at that point, I had been cleared by the trainers enough to be able to do some reps in, some reps out. No horn, just marching my spot to try to work my way back in. At that point, when we were in Kentucky, I had been cleared by the med team to march. I was like, okay, we're good.
Here we go.
I'm going to go officially see a doctor in the morning when we stay at Avon in Indiana. And I'm going to get official doctor clearance that I'm concussion free.
All right.
So we're doing ensemble. I'm feeling good, feeling totally fine. I'm like, all right, I feel like I'm good to go. We get to the later on the closer, a part that I had missed from learning because I was out for so long. And it's another one of those moves where we're marching backwards, hauling butt. Another prop in the way. Didn't know it was coming. Fell again. This time landed on my elbow. And the little tiny bone that, like, not the big bone over here, but the little tiny bone, it's called the radial bone. Didn't even know that was a thing. Got a hairline fracture on it from landing on it, falling on my elbow. So I go in to urgent care the next day to get cleared for my concussion.
And this is your first day back on the field.
First day, like fully back in, cleared by the med team. Go to urgent care in the morning to get cleared by the doctor. And I was like, hey, by the way, can you do a quick x-ray on my arm? I can't move it right now without pain. And so they do an x-ray and they find the fracture. And I go back. And they're expecting me to be good to go. They didn't even, like, most of the staff didn't even realize I had fallen in the run through that night before. So I come back in a sling.
Which solid, by the way. Hey, they didn't even. Yeah. That's a good recovery right there.
Yeah.
They didn't even know.
Yeah. I tried to play it off because I was like, ooh, this hurts. I should be fine, though. And no, it was not fine. Got a big fracture.
No.
And ended up going back to Avon in a sling. And I was like, so I missed the tour premiere for my age out, unfortunately.
So what? Oh my God. So how after that, when do you get back on the field? How does that
it is, luckily it wasn't too bad of a fracture. So I was able to, take some time out. I did my best to try to get in the reps as much as I could without a horn. But there just came a point where I got pulled aside and was like, hey man, are you going to not be injured? Can we expect you to get back on the field, or do we need to send you home?
And it's not like a personal
And it's not personal. It's just like, hey, like, how serious is this? How soon can you get back in? And I was like, listen, this is my age out. I didn't want any of this to happen. This is just a really unfortunate stream of events that I was not in control of. I'm not trying to fall and break myself.
You were doing your job.
I was doing my job. I'm doing what you asked me to do. I don't want to go home. This is my age out. Don't send me home. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to have people shadowing your spot so they can learn it just in case. I was like, okay, do what you got to do, whatever.
Great.
So I'm working back in, doing some reps on and off the field. And I remember there was like a moment where I was marching on the field. I was like, who is the tuba that's marching without a tuba? And I like hold up my sling like, hey, and they're like, if you're not going to march the tuba, give it off the field. I was like, okay.
Was this a different person up top, or?
Yeah, I don't remember who it was. I was
got you.
Not trying to
just different from who talked to you before.
Yes. So damn. Yeah, and I was pretty emotional at the time.
By the way, holding up the sling.
Yeah, like I'm trying to march. I'm trying to do what I need to do. I'm trying to do my thing, but whatever.
Hey, fellas, check it out.
So I ended up being able to work it out. I started doing some reps with the tuba. I was pushing through a lot of pain, taking a lot of ibuprofen. Yeah. And oh man, it was. I eventually got back in, and I was like PTSD almost. Not to use that term lightly, but like anytime I was near a prop, I was like, not happening again. I would pull my face off the horn and be like, I am not tripping over these goddamn props again. Not again.
Not happening.
Not happening again. So luckily, remained injury free for the rest of the season. Can't say the same thing about my section. Shout out 2017 tuba section. Concussion crew, dude.
4 or 5 guys getting, dude.
So many people were out for so much. It was ridiculous.
It feels like it's all stuff that was like out of your guys' control, though. Not so much like you guys were not prepared or anything like that. Because most of the time, it's like people not being prepared or stuff like that. But like literally in this situation, you're being set up in a way, for no
offense to anybody on that design team or on that education team at the time, but we were not set up for success to be able to do those things.
I'm sure their ideas were in the best interest of the people.
I don't doubt that at all. But when the feet hit the pavement, that's not what happened. And
Right.
Had a hell of a season though. Had marshaled a lot of great people. Had a lot of fun.
When did you end up getting back on the? When did you end up getting back on like officially?
Fully back in 2 weeks before San Antonio. I missed most of pre-tour and the beginning of tour, and I ended up getting back in like 2 weeks out from San Antonio. So like Midwest. I think we were doing Midwest tour that year.
Because I feel like the first week of tour.
Yeah, I got through. It was like the first week and a half, 2 weeks that I was out for the broken elbow. Because I remember getting back in for the DCI St. Louis show. I remember.
Nice.
That was the big one for me. I was like, I need to be back in for this show. This is the home show. I don't care. I don't care how I'm feeling with my elbow. I gotta get back in there.
That was the first year for that show, right? For St. Louis. Was that the Dome St. Louis?
No, that was 2018, which I was pissed about because that was after I aged out.
Same, because I wasn't even. I was a West Coast core, so I was not getting scheduled to be at the Midwest show.
That they did the Dome show the year after I aged out. But it was whatever show it was. Maybe it wasn't DC.
Warrensburg?
Maybe no, because Warrensburg stopped after 16. Either way, it was my home show, and
right.
I was like, I got to get back in, and from then on, I was in. So
there you go.
It was a very rough start to that 17 season for me, but still ended up really strong. Ended up finishing a good season. Loved my section that year. A lot of homies in that crew. It was the second to last Sweet 16, the tuba section at Crown. We'd always call ourselves the Sweet 16.
Hell yeah.
And then after 2018, they went to 12.
Oh,
yeah.
That's not so sweet.
It was fine. The show worked itself out. We had the show design ended up being a pretty good show. I've heard a lot of people say they actually like 2017 better than 2016, which in my mind, I'm like, are you crazy?
Did we watch?
Have you watched the show? No, but it's a good brass book. Like that horn line. Like while it was a younger horn line, insanely talented. Like
still a good Carolina Crown show.
The 2016 line was good because it worked their asses off. The 2017 line was just a talented group of individuals putting together a really hard brass book, and it was a lot of fun.